watching them lose. It's hard being a Bucs fan. It's hard watching them lose. Since 1976, they've had 13 winning seasons. 2002, they won the Super Bowl. But that seems like so long ago. Every preseason, the coaches say the same. This season's gonna be different. But then by mid-October, it all starts to fall apart. And then the fan base starts to scream. It's hard being a Bucs fan. It's hard watching them lose.
Yes, folks. It's hard being a Bucs fan. It is hard being a Bucs fan. It's hard being a Bucs fan trying to use technology to do some stuff. So here we are. This is our bye week call-in show. Hopefully you guys can all hear us okay. And hopefully you can see us okay, even if everything's not always in focus. We'll hopefully figure all that out here on Facebook.com as opposed to YouTube.com here at 1:30 as opposed to 12 noon. Supposed to be done before all the games start. The games have started, but we're still here, guys, because this is the Buccaneers bye week. If you guys are joining us live on Facebook.com, welcome to all of you guys. We opened up the show with a brand new song. Oh, by the way, I'm Brent Allen. My co-host over there is Ren Daxt. Ren, buddy, you had a full head of hair 45 minutes ago.
I did. And it was, I don't know what's going on this year, man, but
yeah,
we're snake bit. We're 2-4.
It has extended beyond the walls of the Advent Health Training Facility and reached out into everybody else, I think, is what's going on.
Yeah, it's it's rough. I mean, I sound a little different. Like, I'm not sure if my headphones are crapped out, but we couldn't get the audio right. And then, OPS was crashing for you, and we couldn't go on YouTube. And then we tried some other software that YouTube recommended. We couldn't get that to work. Mm-hmm. So we decided just to, hey, let's try Facebook. Right.
So here we are. We are on Facebook.com. We've got all kinds of, hopefully we figure this out, Ren. I am not 100% sure that this is actually going out, except that I see our friend Krusty Pete, Ukulele Pete, is in the chat room, or at least I think he's over there. And the song, if you guys heard the song at the beginning of the show, that was a song that apparently Pete, who was all the way over in Germany, Ren, had, I guess he went into the studio to do some recording for some other stuff, and he wrote that and recorded it this morning and got it out of just his own blues of being the Bucs fan.
Yeah.
I don't know what just happened.
You're back.
I'm back. Are we still streaming? I don't know what the hell just happened.
I don't know.
Oh my God. I've got the counter going, so apparently we're going live. Pete, we were just talking about Pete. He made that song. I think it's very apropos, Ren. Apropos. This whole thing just, jeez. Oh, we'll get it figured out. Listen, I've got a full week before the next live show. Which is probably about what it's going to take me to get it figured out so we can get things back to normal. Or maybe we'll switch over to Facebook Live. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So Pete says that we're there. So, hey, that's cool. But, Ren, we're going to open up the phone lines here in a little bit. This is the bye week call-in show. The basic idea of
the way we drew it up.
Exactly. We just got to execute better, Ren. We just have to execute better. I'm going to try to not touch the mouse or any keyboard or anything because I don't want this to get all weird on us. But
We're having communication problems in the secondary.
Yeah, yes. You'll notice Ren doesn't even have his microphone. He is just going over the air. My camera is all fuzzy. God, this whole thing just, geez. So, but it's the bye week. Buccaneers aren't playing. What's the phrase we use this week every year, Ren? Buccaneers are guaranteed not to lose today.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So, but hey, this is bye week. So there's lots going on, and this is really just sort of a chance for us to, without the newness of a game, to be able to talk about where we are in our fandom, what we're thinking, to maybe even be a lot cooler than even what we are on a Final Thought show, to hear from our fellow fans about what, where we are, what's going on. There's some things, I guess, that have happened with the team. I don't know how much we'll get to talk about that tonight. But, Ren, before we open up the show, I know you had some things you wanted to discuss and to get into, so I'll give the floor to you, man. Have at it.
Oh, yeah. I talked a little bit on the last pod. I'm just still sort of shocked about how the national media and the Buccaneers media have just sort of done this flip on Jameis Winston where it's like, 1 foot's out the door.
Right.
Arguably he had probably his 3 best games, in a stretch as quarterback, brand new offense, and it just, and now he has, okay, it's a terrible game. Yeah. But, I said during the last pod is like Jameis Winston was competing. Did you catch any of the Thursday night football game?
I did. No, I did not. We wound up on a last minute trip, out of town. Wait, was that Thursday? Yeah, I don't remember. No, I didn't catch the game.
Well, Flacco was under duress. Like he had 6 sacks in the first half, kind of like what Jameis was doing through Carolina, and he would get in the shotgun. Get the shotgun snap, backpedal, and then without even setting, while backpedaling, would just throw the ball to open patches of grass because he was getting so much heat. He was quitting. He was just I'm not getting hit anymore, And so you see that, and then you see Jameis who's fighting and fighting and fighting. Even all those turnovers we had, we're still in it. We're what are we, 4th in the league in scoring? I mean, yes, it was a terrible game, and I know that it hurt because it came off, sort of the Saints game where we had everything in front of us and ready to go. We win that game, we're in the lead for the division, and now it's 2 weeks later and we're in the basement. We're only 1 game in front of the Falcons, and I get all that, but I'm still shocked about how how reactionary it's sort of the media has been. Bleacher Report came out with well, Jameis may be out, that they might be looking in a different direction. I don't get it. I don't get it. So it's still shocking to me that somebody is in a new offense that has done pretty much, everything you've asked him to do, had his 3 best games stretch in a row, and where he's under duress the whole entire game, that people are just ready to give up on him. Yeah, he threw 5 interceptions. I'm not forgiving him, or threw 4 and a fumble. I'm not forgiving him and saying that, that it's, it's okay, or that game doesn't count. But, before all the duress he was in and all the turnovers, the Bucs were still in it, At least you can make an argument they were still in it, so, and they're putting up points. He's doing his job. And I still think, again, it's the secondary. It's to the point where Vernon Hargreaves has got to go. He's got to move into the slot, or he's got to go. Because it doesn't matter how bad the next guy behind him is. He'd be Ryan Smith or Jamel Dean, or even move Sean Murphy-Bunting out there if they want to. It doesn't matter how bad the next person is. It really can't be any worse, because the teams are targeting Vernon Hargreaves. He's quote-unquote our number 1 corner. Right. And the teams are coming out, even with a guy who's only started 5 games, they're targeting Vernon Hargreaves, and they're completing him. They're playing against air out there. So, I'm of course I'm not happy with the Jameis game, but as far as giving up on him and throwing him out the door and saying that this is what he's always going to be, and I'm just a little shocked by it. I just don't think it's quite fair, because he's 6 games into a new offense.
Right. I hear everything you're saying. I am standing by what I have kind of been saying this whole season since that first game of, I'm off. That might not even be the right way to say it, but it's the phrase I've been using. So I'm off the Jameis train, so to speak, but I still have faith in BA. And, we can talk about Jameis being 6 games into a new season. BA is only 6 games into a new team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I still have faith in BA. I still have faith in what his history has shown with quarterbacks. I have faith in where he has been with quarterbacks. And I am not ready to say that he's done with Jameis. I'm not ready to say that it's impossible for him to do anything with Jameis. You know what I mean? So I'm not ready to jump off of that train yet. But when I see reports coming out of people saying, oh, well, people in the front offices in Tennessee and in Tampa are saying that they're ready to reset their sights on a new quarterback, I think you got to take that with a grain of salt. Like, I don't know who's actually saying that. Some of this, you think about the national media. Was that the Bleacher Report thing you were talking about? Was that one? Yeah. And I'm just sitting there going, man, you don't know. And unless that is a text message you got from Jason Light himself, you know what I mean? And I know that some media reports really, that's where they get their reports from, or from Jason Light themselves. But unless that's it, and you're not telling us who it's from, I just can't believe it until I see it, until I see them do something different and see where they go. And if they do, knowing that BA is in charge and he's working with Jason, then I'm going to go with it. But if they also choose to re-sign Jameis, if they also choose to keep Jameis around, if they also choose to go into the future with Jameis, I think I've said it the last 2 weeks. I'm along for the ride. Like, wherever they're going to go, because truthfully, you and I aren't making the decision, and we're not going to change that decision for them, right? So it is what it is. I'm more entrusting of BA than I am Jameis. I think Jameis as a whole has just shown that he in general is just inconsistent, because he can have these amazing games, right? We saw 3 games in a row, just really good, strong games from Jameis, and then this thing, and it's still sticking in people's brains. So,
it's like he had those 3 games. Everyone's like quietly saying that Jameis is playing the best quarterback of anybody in the NFL.
Right.
Then he has a Jameis game,
Yeah.
And now it's like, well, you're out the door. And it's like, no, like, he's doing his job.
Mm-hmm.
They're scoring 29.7, 29.8 points a game. That's what they're averaging.
Right.
They put 28 points in the first half 2 weeks in a row.
Sure.
Lost one of those games, won one of those games.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't like – and the one they won, they had to score the team high ever record to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
He was out there competing. Yeah, he made some dumb throws, but that's what he had to do. I mean, not make the dumb throws, but he had to make those throws earlier than he wanted to, because he wasn't getting any help from his offensive line. It was a rough game.
Yep.
But to throw him out with the trash because, your feelings get hurt, I just don't get it. It's like, it's all the goodwill that he built up during the season went away.
Mm-hmm.
And you might be able to take it back to the San Francisco game where, I said – on the positive, that was the absolute worst way for the Bucs to be able to, like, you can lose,
mm-hmm.
but to lose that way, with, like a pick
Jameis throwing a pick 6 right at the end,
yeah, that was the absolute worst way to start the season for the Buccaneers fandom psyche.
Yeah,
and and everyone was sort of climbing back up the hill or getting off to get rid of Jameis Hill. And then he had the Carolina game, and now I'm just surprised even the media's up there,
Right.
But you have to have something to write about, Don't let the media, like, spin the narrative for you. Think about it yourself.
Right. And, I think it's also incumbent upon us to make sure that we're also looking at not just this year, although this is his new system, right? This is his new coach. There's a lot that changes going into the system, but, this is our 5th year with Jameis, with us. I know it's BA's first year. It's our 5th year with Jameis. And, I think a lot of people are, they're taking everything into account that we've seen over the last bunch of years. But, I mean, let's face it. Nobody's had a good, especially in the London game. Like, if we take that like as an isolated game, like, nobody had a good game. Offensive line didn't. Our best offensive lineman, Ali Marpet, did not have a good game. Mike Evans didn't have a good game. O.J. Howard did not. A.J. Howard hasn't had a good season. And I just lost Ren, so I'm not sure where he's going. Maybe he'll jump back in here in just a minute. So I'll take this out. Chris Godwin, okay, fine. Chris Godwin has had a good game every single game, like forever, right? And let's see. I'm wondering if Ren's actually gone or not. I don't know. Yeah, it looks like he's gone. That's all right. He'll be back in a minute. Oh, there he is. I'll bring him in as soon as his video shows up. He's coming in, and boom. Hey, Ren, welcome back, buddy.
I clicked the wrong button.
You did what I did, I think, a minute ago. So,
yeah, my bad.
But hey, listen. Hi, guys. Welcome back. Hey, but, as our friend Pete says, it is hard being a Bucs fan. There's so much going on. There's so much going on around this team and what's happening. Ren, I think my question is...
Sure.
What I want to say is, so where do we go from here? And the answer is nowhere. You go back to your couch, you go back to your seats, and you watch and see what the team does from here on out, right? Like,
we're gonna win the next 2 games.
You think so?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah. You were pretty confident about that last game.
Was I?
Yeah, you're like, I know we're gonna win this game. I know we're gonna win this game. I just know it. I just know. Oh, don't make me go pull the tape because I have it. But I mean, the thing is, there's so many things that we could do, but there's so many things we can't. Like sit there and go, well, we got to get a new offensive line. Well, we can't at this point in the season. Yeah, we could. I think I read somewhere that we just signed someone. We just signed like he's like a former Patriot tackle or something like that. But he's on the street. No, it wasn't Balinok. He was on the street though. I mean, he wasn't playing. He used to play with them, but he wasn't now. I don't think we traded for him. I think we just signed him. Which fine, they're making moves, but the moves that we can make right now in this season are pretty limited. And it doesn't appear like they're willing to move O.J. Howard and do a trade here before we approach the trade deadline.
Which is the right thing to do.
Do what now?
Which is the right thing to do.
To not trade him?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cameron Brate, maybe that's a different story. We haven't heard anything about that. He might be someone, but I don't know if he's going to be a person that people want to eat his contract on. I don't know how valuable his particular trade value is, even for a team like Seattle, which I read Ian Rappaport saying they need a tight end and they need one bad.
Why? They ruined Jimmy Graham's career. Why'd they use him?
They ruined somebody else's career too, and apparently everybody's all hurt with that team that I was just the Seahawks. So I don't know. It was just a tweet I think I saw from Ian Rappaport as I was scrolling through Twitter this morning. But anyway, Ren, so you're surprised that the media, local media, national media, has jumped all over this get rid of Jameis train.
Yeah.
We know your feelings on the secondary, so we don't have to revisit that. We've been well documented. Well documented.
That I do remember.
Do what?
That I do remember.
Let me ask you this. Do you put any credence into the idea that the rest of the schedule kind of from here on out is a lot easier than what we faced so far? Do you give that any credence?
I do, but it's still, and I don't mean to harp on it, but you can't put any trust in the secondary.
Right.
I mean, Daniel Jones has looked pedestrian at best since his first start against us. Mm-hmm. Teddy Bridgewater went back to Teddy Bridgewater pre-Bucks. Like, I think they just won another game like last week, like 4-2.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't put the ball in the end zone again. Gets 4 touchdowns and 300 yards against us. I'm telling you, until and I say secondary, and I'm not even talking about the safeties. It's the corners. Mm-hmm. And it's Vernon. It's Vernon. Like, if you move him to the nickel, see if you can salvage his career. If not, thanks but no thanks, and
yeah.
Like that, it's been long enough. Yes, he's been injured. Yes, this. Yes, that. Yes, you've seen flashes, but he's never been good for for 2 games in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He hasn't.
Right. Yeah. No, I am. with Vernon, he was more of a curiosity for me. I felt like the jury was out on him, like it was an incomplete tale. I think Vernon's tale is now complete. Like we've seen it. Okay, I'm done. I've seen enough. He is what everybody thought he was. I don't have that question mark anymore. Well, Ren,
do it. Open the phone lines.
Yeah, let's do it. Open up the phone lines. Listen, you guys want to call in, you can do that. We'll put the number over here in the chat room. It's 864-729-BUCKS. That's 864-729-2827. You guys call in. We will take your phone call. Hopefully everything works. It worked a few minutes ago, Ren, before we went live. We tested it. But the way this is going, man, who actually knows what's going to happen? But you guys can do that, 864-729-2827. You call in. We'll take your phone call. Feel free to interrupt us. Whether we're in the middle of a conversation, you want to go somewhere else, that's fine. Do that. We'll remind everybody we have one phone line. So please, if you want to call in and somebody else is on the line, just make sure that or just wait. Just wait until the phone line clears and then give us a call in. We'll always take the first person who dials in. So our friend Ukulele Pete, who I know has been chomping at the bit, he said he wants to call in. I think this might actually be him.
I hope so.
Is this Ukulele Pete?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
I knew it was you. What's going on, man?
Nothing, man. I'm just sitting back, had a couple Captain Morgans and Cokes and, enjoying my day and happy to be finally hearing you guys live and getting to call in, man.
There you go. Man, I'm glad that you're able to jump in here with us. That is awesome. And by the way, thank you for use of your song at the beginning of the show. I'm sorry. I actually wanted to play the video that you sent us. That would have been possible on the other platform, but not on this one in trying to figure it out in 35 minutes. So, but the song's great, man. It so aptly describes, I think, where we all are collectively as a fan.
Yeah, sure. That was the whole point. I sat down this morning in the studio and I had some other things I was supposed to be working on first. And, for the last week, I've had all this stuff stuck in me. And after some technical problems I had this morning, it all just kind of came muddling out. And I, sent it over to Ren this afternoon and figured, hey, let you guys have a crack at it before I blasted it out there and, let everybody take a listen to it, because I think it, honestly, whether you're pro-Jameis, anti-Jameis, where you're at with your fandom, I think it really speaks to all of us. It's hard, those of us, Ren and me have been there for a very long time as Buck fans. I'm sure there are a lot of people that have been there, 40 years plus. And, when you look back and you see 13 winning seasons and that's it. And now, we have one winning season with Jameis in season 5. And I get it. It's not all his fault. But, at some point we have to start pointing fingers and blaming somebody, and is the secondary at fault? Oh, yeah. VH3 has to go. But I think this bye week kind of says something too about where the team's at. If we don't go out, we're not actively looking for a secondary player to bring in. What does that say? What does that say about us? What does that say about where the team's at if we really think we're going to roll the rest of the season with these guys?
Well, I think we're waiting. I would not be surprised if someone like Jamel Dean ends up, getting some reps or starting coming out in the Tennessee game. It's to the point, like we talked about, like it's basically Vernon Hargreaves. Like you can't, like the team, we're scoring 30 points a game. The defense is giving up more,
Yeah.
Even though we're 2-4, a lot of people didn't talk about it because, Shaq Barrett was going crazy for so many games. And everyone was happy and everyone, was like, hey, Shaq Barrett, we have a pass rush. Look at this guy. We need to sign him. Yeah, we got it. We got Khalil Mack light. Great. Mm-hmm. But, it was the only time the defense, like the first 2 weeks, they gave up one defensive touchdown. And that was awesome. But you go back, and it was against the 49ers, and the reason we only really gave it one defensive touchdown was because Jameis just kept feeding them the ball,
Mm-hmm.
and they had 2 touchdowns called back from penalties. Then we went and played Cam Newton, who only had 2 appendages. He was missing 1 leg and he was missing 1 arm. And then after that, everyone else has roasted us, like just roasted us. And it's not even close. Like anytime you need, it's like the defense is great. You get them in 3rd and 8. Fantastic. You know what you do? You run across a slant, you run the tight end up the seam, and it's open. And we've seen it like dozens of times already this year. It happens dozens of times a game, or at least a dozen times a game, I should say. And it's to the point where again, you can't stop anybody. And then, like you say, you got to start pointing fingers. I saw someone in the chat room said Whitehead's been a surprise. He's playing great against the run. He doesn't seem to be a liability in the pass game. They would like to get Mike Edwards back. They really don't throw a lot at Carlton Davis. He hasn't been outstanding either, but at least, he's in the picture,
well, he's not on his butt, Ren. I mean, he's not slipping and Brent Grimesing this all day long where he's on his ass because he just got the turf taken out from underneath him.
Yeah, so, I mean, and if any time a team needs a first down or they want a big play, they're targeting one guy, it's a problem. And, well, I guess it's not a problem. It's only a problem if they're successful, and they're always successful. Like the Bucs have given up the most yardage through the air so far this year in the NFL. And the offense is scoring 29 points a game, and the defense is giving up more.
Yeah.
First in the NFC in points scored, 4th in the league in points scored, 2 and 4.
Yeah, and I gotta say this, and Pete, I'll get your take on this, see if this rings true with you as well. BA comes in, and I have stated even right here in this show, my faith is more in BA than it is in anyone else on the team, really, to be honest. But, he comes in and he starts preaching accountability. This is something that we, as a fan base, heard a lot about not happening for the Buccaneers under Dirk Cutter. Where is the accountability? Where is the accountability? Where is the accountability? Bruce Arians comes in and starts talking about accountability. Doesn't accountability physically look like in the middle of the season when you have a player who is underperforming, they get benched? Is that not what it actually looks like from the coach anyway? Or am I wrong on that?
Oh, sure. No, I agree completely. I wasn't a huge Dirk Cutter fan, and surprisingly enough, I hate to say it, but the only time really we've had a really hard-nosed coach was when we had Schiano, and I mean we saw how that turned out. No one wanted to play for him, but he didn't play those games, and my biggest fear is did we get BA light? Did we get BA coming back because he felt he owed some friends some things and, wanted to give, his buddies another chance and put them in the spotlight? I mean, as we go through the season, I'm not down with this whole Byron Leftwich calling plays. I mean, it's time for BA to, start calling plays again, because this Byron Leftwich experiment, it's not going very well.
4th in the league in points. 1st in the NFC. How's it not going well?
Red, I get it. I understand. And I know the way I see it, and I know it all comes with the baggage that's come throughout the years. But, at the end of the day, we're still 2 and 4 going into it'll be the 4th week of October, 3rd week of October coming up when we play next. And, I hate to say it, but after we won the Panthers game, I called in. The only other time of the year I've called in. And one of the first things out of my mouth was, hey, Ren, wouldn't it be the perfect Bucs thing to do would be to lose to the Giants? And Ren said, yeah, I thought about it, but not yet, Pete. And what did we do? We went ahead and lost to the Giants. And for me, I just see the past coming back to haunt us, and it's this horrible, vicious circle we seem to be stuck in a franchise. And I'm willing to do anything to change it. I hate being this losing franchise, but I just show me signs that we're going to change, and I just don't see it. We're 2 and 4.
I guess I don't know. Like they're trying. I can't give you signs they're going to change because it's been the same thing about backup quarterbacks with his defense. It's the same It's not the same secondary, but the secondary is playing the same way it has been since Mike Smith got here. And the only common denominator again is Vernon Hargreaves. Now, MJ Stewart has been benched. We talked about that accountability thing. It seems like Sean Murphy-Bunting is now sort of the quote-unquote starting slot corner. And things are going to change. We've seen it. They're not afraid to get rid of these players, that we've spent draft picks on. Spence is gone. Beninock's gone. They brought in Buchanan. He's gone. Like, I know it's frustrating because, we should have won the Giants game, and you feel like we're killing ourselves, and we might have had the chance in the Panthers game if Jameis didn't throw 5 picks, and I get all that, but we don't. This coaching staff, as far as the BA Light thing, doesn't have the horses they need to run what they need to on defense. Like they just don't,
sure.
and that's sort of when I calm down and think about it, like. That's kind of where I am. Like, did I expect the Bucs to go to the Super Bowl this year? Absolutely not. Did I expect them to make the playoffs? Nope. I was hoping. Mm-hmm. I wasn't expecting it. And this is kind of like we're on track for an 8-8 year. Like, like Brent asked earlier, how the schedule gets easier, and what's going to happen? It's what always happens with us. We're going to lose games that we thought were in the bag, and we're going to win some games that we thought we were going to lose. And we're going to end up 8-8 unless something changes. And the thing that I'm pointing to, and I have been, and I know I'm beating a dead horse, Vernon Hargreaves cannot start on the outside. Put him in nickel or bench him. He can't start on the outside. It's to the point. It's almost the definition of Albert Einstein. Definition of Albert Einstein. Insanity by Albert Einstein. You're doing the same thing and you're expecting different results, and it's just time.
Ren, I hear you say that though. I hear you say that he just doesn't have the horses that we need on defense, and I can hear what you say about that, but then I look across the defense, right? And you think of like the front 7, and man, that seems like a pretty stacked group that we have there. Like that's felt really good about that. Okay, we look at the secondary, at least heading into the season, it's fine. But you also look at the secondary and you think about how much draft capital we have invested in there. And the question is not, are you right or wrong? The question is how the hell is this possible right now? After everything that this team has done, after everything that this GM and this coaching staff and even the prior coaching staff has done to get the secondary in shape, how is it we're still in the same freaking spot? That's the thing that pisses us all off.
Vernon Hargreaves.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I agree completely with Brent. And I'll get off the phone here. I just want to say one more thing, and I'll let you guys go and let some other people call in. But hey, look, if we get to 8-8, I will be. Every season every year I start the season, or every time the season starts, I say, hey, 8-8 or better, please. Just give me 8-8, and I have hope for the future. Mm-hmm. But for me, if we don't even get 8-8, and I mean, like you said, we have pieces, but we're missing pieces. What is next season going to look like? And, are we going to go through another off season where we're fixing holes, and then once we think we have one hole fixed, another hole pops up over there, and other teams have the same issues? It just seems like the Bucs never seem to get the right pieces in the right holes at the right time to get a complete season. And, hey, I'm if we get to 8-8, I'll be ecstatic. And, that's all I can hope for is, just don't lose, just not another losing season. And I will be absolutely ecstatic. Show me that this franchise can change. I'm not going anywhere. I've been here for 40 plus years. I love the Bucs, but it's just frustrating. And I love you guys. Thank you for a great podcast. Thank you for doing this podcast earlier, so those of us from Europe had a chance to call. And, lots of love to you guys, and thanks a lot, man.
Pete, thank you so much, buddy. The new official Pewtercast theme song artist and writer, Ukulele Pete, ladies and gentlemen, calling in.
What I would say to the holes thing, I think, when we talk about how coaching matters, we're going to find out if it was the players or the coaches,
right?
This year. I think we found out that it was the coaches, before, the Watford or the Wells, have to do. I thought our offensive line played well against Carolina the first time.
Okay.
They were fine.
Yeah.
So we had questions at center. Jensen's playing the best ever he's been a Buck.
Sure.
Kappa has been competent enough where no one's yelling at him.
Right.
Dot's Dot.
Right.
He's gonna get run over a couple of times.
And he's gonna get a few penalties, but other than that, he's gonna be pretty solid.
Yeah, he's gonna be pretty solid. Alley's Alley. Donovan Smith has not been anyone's mouth this year. No one's complaining about Donovan Smith. Okay. Rojo, that was a question. He's there.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing we need to fill in offense is one, tell O.J. Howard that he's supposed to catch the ball, not knock it down. And two, we need to find a third receiver right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Perryman would have been it, or him and Jameis' timing weren't down. Because I've said this before, even years ago, it takes a couple of games for Jameis to sort of get the in-game timing down with certain receivers.
I think we said it's not just a couple of games. It takes about a year. It takes about a season for that to happen. And we saw that. We saw that with Mike. We saw that with Cam. We saw that with I would like to say we saw that with OJ, but we haven't seen that yet. Even Chris Godwin. I mean, Chris Godwin's rookie year was good, but it's nowhere near what we're seeing now.
No.
He has continued to improve. Of course, it never really materialized with Deshaun Jackson when he was here, but Deshaun Jackson didn't want it to materialize. So,
and then you look at defense, you can't be any better against the run.
Mm-hmm.
You really can't. You'd like to get more pressure, but every team wants to get more pressure.
Right.
I don't know where exactly we are on sacks, but I think we're up there. Devin White's learning, Levante David, and then you switch to the secondary, and that's where the holes are. Even though they drafted him, that's sort of the only thing that hasn't worked out, to fill the holes. Next year we're probably going to need a right tackle for sure, either free agency or the draft.
Right.
And we got to figure out what the cornerback's going to do. I think we have enough talent at the safety position that somebody, one of those four guys are going to shake out. And don't forget about Dakota Dixon, who, they're keeping. They got him on IR, and they're not, even when he's healthy, he's not going to be healthy. I'm healthy. No, you're not. You're not going to be healthy for next year's OTA, son.
Right.
And then you got Justin Evans. We'll see if he comes back or not. Then you got Whitehead, and then you got Mike Edwards, of course, they like a lot. So I'm okay. I think there's competent enough safety play back there where it's going to shake out. It's what we're going to do with the corners.
Mm-hmm.
And we got Dean, and we got Bunting, we got Ryan Smith, we got Vernon Hargraves, and we got Carlton Davis. And you got to figure out the best three and get them out there.
Yeah. Regardless
of position, regardless how long they've been there. I mean, it's obvious to everyone. Again, I'm sorry. Beat. Horse dead. Vernon Hargraves ain't the guy. He's got to move. He can't start out there anymore. He can't. So there's not these huge holes anywhere. Yeah, the play calling. Every play call we Leftwich call doesn't go for 15 yards. Doesn't go. But we're putting up the points.
Right.
An argument we made it could be some garbage points. Not really. The only garbage points we put up were against the Panthers.
I was going to say there were some against the Panthers. I remember that.
At late touchdown, we were down 3 scores, and we made it to 2 because Godwin scored with 5 seconds left. That's really about it.
Yeah.
There was no other garbage points. We needed every single point against the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just, I think that it's, again, I don't know, it's the secondary, man.
Yeah.
You got to figure out those two positions.
And you look at the conversation that's happening right now in the fandom among looking at the outside linebacker position with JPP coming back. We've got Shaq Barrett, we've got Carl Nassib, who, have been fine. Carl Nassib he's been in on plays. He's a team captain. Finally recorded his first sack. Shaq Barrett had an amazing start to the season. He's been a little quiet, but he's still getting, he's still providing the pressure. JPP's coming in, and the question now is, great, well, who's he going to, what's going to happen there? Where are we going to do 3? How's that going to work? That's a great conversation for us to have. I'd much rather be having that conversation than why the hell is Vernon Hargreaves still playing and why is he out there? But hey, listen, Ren, the phone line's open. If anybody out there listening would like to call in, those of you who are joining us at Facebook Live, you guys want to call in, you can do that. That number is 864-729-BUCKS. That's 864-729-2827. You call in. We'll take your call. We're talking about anything you want to with the Bucks. Here it is. It's the bye week call-in show. So you guys do that. Yeah.
729-2827?
Yeah, 2827. 864-729-2827 for anyone who wants to call in. Yeah, Ren, I don't know. I don't know where to go. I'm so I don't want to say I'm flummoxed. We've hit it. Like the Bucks are where they are. Like I'm at this. I need them to play. I need them to play, and I need them to win, and I need them to go out. And by the way, Pete, I know he's listening. I know he was saying some stuff. The idea of just hoping for 8-8, and Pete, I get it, man. I get what you're saying, and at this point, that's about what we're looking at. And we'll be happy if we get to 8-8. I don't want to freaking hope for mediocrity. You know what I mean? Like, if to say that's the best that I can hope for is mediocre, to just not have a losing season, but that's where we are. Jenna Lane had a great tweet, I thought, earlier this week. I don't know if you saw it, Ren. Somebody had tweeted out a picture of some skeletons with Bucks fan gear on them and saying, this is what the Buccaneers have driven us to. And her tweet, she kind of retweeted that, and she was like, the Buccaneers have had it hard for a long time, but that London game has really thrown a lot of people for a loop. And I mean, it was so accurate, with what she said. Like, this London game especially has really, I think it's because
it was a breaking point for so many people.
It really was. It was
like that's it, game. Like that's it. Like, I'm done.
Right.
Like, I'm mad. Like, you give me nothing but pain and misery.
Yeah.
Jameis, you're out of here. Yeah.
Well, because that was the time where we sat back and we had BA is going to come in and he's going to change it, and it's the coaches, not the players. Ren, I know you kind of keep coming back to that. I am at a spot where I'm kind of thinking it's both. At least on some, like, it's not all the players. It might have been all the coaches, but I think it's a combination of it is the coaches and it is at least some of these players. And you probably agree with that
Yeah. That's kind of what I was saying. Yeah, and the only place that we haven't seen marked improvement is the cornerback position. Mm-hmm. And it's.
Do you think? Well, let me ask you. Do you think we've seen marked improvement from the linebacker position? I know that's hard to judge, given the change in defensive style this year. Levante's had a couple of good plays. I don't know that Levante's had like a stellar game where he's just taken over a game. In fact, I don't know that I've seen him do that for a long time, come to think of it. Is that true? I'm trying to think of the last time Levante David just came out, as our star linebacker and just took over a game.
Well, the question is, when's the last time you saw Levante David do something wrong? Like, when's the last time you seen him bust a coverage or miss a tackle? Like, that's the question, Mm-hmm. That's the question you should be asking. It's not like, because, asking, I remember when Shaq Barrett got like 3 sacks, and you're like, can we expect this next week? I'm like, no. 3 sacks.
He did it, and then he did it the next week, and then he didn't do it after that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's like, it's like you do it once and people expect you to do it all the time. And it's like a lot of stars got to align to make a great play. Usually, if you're on defense, someone in the offense screws up. That's why you make a great play. Quarterback makes the read. Somebody, holding the ball secure. Somebody misses the block, miscommunication on the line. Someone comes free. Someone like an defensive or offensive tackle punches too early and is off balance, and the defensive end beats him. Like, those are, it's mostly because somebody else does something wrong. But at the beginning of the year, watching the Niners game and then watching the Panthers game, you could explain away the Niners game with the defense, So you thought this defense was something. And that's what gave me the hope where, hey, like I'm with you. Like 8-8's like I'm tired of being mediocre, but you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And after that, after the first Panthers game, I'm like, hey, with this defense, we got a real shot. We got a real shot at the title here, the NFC South title.
Right.
And then after, just right after that, they just, I started talking about, it looks like the defense is regressing, even after the Rams win. I'm like, that secondary, yay, win, but like this is going to be a problem. Mm-hmm. And for the next 2 games, it has been a huge problem.
So now I hear what you're saying, but I still want to go back. Like I want to dig down onto this because true or false, Levante David is supposed to be one of our star players.
Okay.
Right. I would say true. Your star, like, it seems to me that your star players should not just not bust a coverage or not have a bad game, but that at some point your stars take over the game. At some point your stars grab everything by the horns and make it happen and make a play. And I'm not saying that Levante David is the cause of any of our losses. Please don't hear me wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that he's not stepping up to the plate. I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying I don't remember the last time that I remember this. I do remember this actually. It was 2 years ago. Yeah. It was 2 years ago. Levante David stepped into several games and took over those games. You remember that? Like, I think it was the year that he won like 4 Pewtercast awards that year. And like the linebacking position under whoever coach that was, he was Duffner. Yeah. I think he won the coach of the year award twice in a row or something like that. Like, Duffner had,
because there was no one else.
There was no one else, right? You talk about the best of the worst, right, Ren?
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, you won an award for not being the suckiest.
Right. But, I mean, I remember then Levante David took over several games, which is why he, I think, rightly won the awards that he won. And we actually, I think, had to change how we do some of the criteria for some of those. But I don't think I've seen it a lot recently. And it's not – and I point to Levante David, but I'm also pointing to the other players who are supposed to be our star players. The guys that have their banners up around the stadium. The guys whose faces are on the freaking cups, promotional cups, although that's a coach, not a player. Although I got one back there that's a player. Like,
so who are you talking about?
Do what? No, okay, so, who are our star players? Mike Evans. An O.J. Howard. Even a Jameis Winston. Okay, Jameis, we saw him step up for a couple games and then, but whatever. Gosh, who else? Levante David, Shaq Barrett, I guess we kind of see him. JPP supposed to be coming out, but he's been hurt. Okay, fine. Whatever. That's my point being, like, yes, it's a team win. Yes, it's a team loss. But when we need our star guys to really step up, I don't feel like I'm seeing that happen. And I wish I had a more direct example to point to on that, but it's
I get what you're saying. You're like, if these guys are so good, how come they're not making splash plays? And again, like, I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but because you can't, because they're throwing the ball at Vernon Hargreaves, mm-hmm. and he's nowhere to be seen. It's like one guy is uncovered every play. Mm. You can't stop it. When they run, everybody's there.
So
everybody makes a play. The pressure's not great. It's not the best in the league, but it's not nearly the worst. It's kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
Have
we heard any of our media guys ask BA or Todd Bowles about Vernon Hargreaves and what's going on with him?
I don't know. I get so frustrated because, like, it's like, hey, tune in to, like, the Bucs don't do their press conferences on Periscope anymore, mm-hmm. live.
Right.
They did it on Facebook Live for like 2 days, and then they quit that. Mm-hmm. And then when with my phone, I go to click on the live press conference, and it doesn't stream. It does the skip thing, stops and stops.
It buffers all the time, yeah.
Yeah, it does it all the time. So, like, I'm like, I don't, and to go back and watch them, it's like, I don't have to because I've already read, like, the Twitter feed, everyone there who's tweeting it out live, basically what he said. So, I don't know. Like, it needs to get to that point. Sometimes I feel like our media, I wish they were a little more like, have this reputation like the big markets have. like the New York media, Boston media. They're kind of, but I don't live there, so I don't really hear it. And if you get that all the time, it might be really frustrating, as a fan to maybe, I don't know if they're ultra negative or maybe they just ask the tough questions, but these are questions that need to be asked. Like Todd Bowles, like, why is Vernon Hargreaves starting? And have your stats. Like, he's been targeted 86 times. He's given up 72 completions. He's given up the most yards. Why is this guy still starting?
Right.
And just listen to his answer. It's like, Jamel Dean's not ready yet? Okay.
I'd actually like to see I'm sure you were just kind of making those numbers up. I'd actually like to see Vernon Hargreaves' actual numbers of targets versus how many he's given up, and what's out. Like, I'd be real interested to see where that is right now. And compare that to the other side, like the rest of the team. I can
guarantee you they're the worst in the team and a team that's given up the most yards.
Right.
You are the shittiest defender on the shittiest defensive team.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as talking about passing.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. We got a question in the chat room. Dave says, how do you feel about the team not practicing until Tuesday? I mean, after that London game, wouldn't you want to come in and get some extra work in?
Can't.
CBA, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, CBA limits that. So the coaches are in. Coaches are doing whatever. I got to tell you, the thing that still sticks in my mind, though, before the London game, coming out of was it the Saints game we played before that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Coming out of the Saints game, going into the London game, we had Scott Smith on that week, and he said that he hadn't personally seen it, but what he had heard was the coaches were really optimistic walking around the halls of One Buck Place that week. Like they seemed to be, everybody seemed to be in a good mood, seemed to be in a good uptick.
After game plan day.
Yeah, like I'll be honest, I'm not saying that it should or that they shouldn't be walking around like that, but until you put it out on the field, it's like the ping pong table to me almost a little bit. Like, it's the dumbest thing in the world to complain about, like, whatever, but it's just like, geez. What is?
Well, I mean, you had 7 turnovers and still put up 26 points. Why wouldn't they be excited?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just, again, I'm like, look, the reason we're losing is not because of the offense.
Right.
Period. End of story.
Right.
Period. End of story.
All right, Ren.
I'm not going to get off it until
it gets fixed.
They put Vernon Hargreaves on the altar.
Uh-huh.
And they sacrifice it.
Mm-hmm. And don't get the goat that's hanging out in the bushes. And
no,
there we go.
Vernon.
Yeah.
It's Vernon. It's not sunny today? Sorry. Aztec custom. Need to sacrifice somebody for the sun god.
For the good of the team.
And everyone's name in the bucket says Vernon Hargreaves.
There you go.
Rig it.
All right, guys.
I don't want them to sacrifice Vernon Hargreaves. Unless we'll win. Unless it's guaranteed.
Ren would actually do that for a win.
And
you know what? There's a lot of Bucs. No, you wouldn't.
I think about it for sure.
Yes, there's a lot of Bucs fans who would. If this was the Madden world, you would.
Madden, like on a video game?
Yeah, like if the NFL was actually just the video game. Of course, if it was, we just put it on God mode and go. All right, man. Hey, listen. It's Sunday. There are football games being played right now. We're
an hour and a half late.
Yeah, we're an hour and a half late. We're an hour into the show almost. So we're going to go ahead and call it. I don't know, Red. It seems like, here we are in the bye week, a week later, and we're still kind of in the same spot. And I get it. Not much has really happened. Yeah. But we're still really in the same spot. So, all right, Red, I'll give you a chance. Any final thoughts that doesn't have anything to do with the secondary? And I'm glad that at least we got to talk to Pete.
Oh, I'm glad. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of the reason. It was kind of the reason why, I suggested, hey, let's go early.
Yeah. Yeah. No, if we, I mean, you and I we talk about this every year about the instant cast, especially like what time are we going to do the instant cast? And some of it really just has to do logistics. Ideally, it would literally go right after every game.
Yeah.
That's when we would do it. So and maybe that'll happen next year. You never know. We'll see what happens. Do what?
It won't.
Oh, it might. If I'm in Jacksonville for every game next year, it might. Because that could happen too. Just saying. But anyway, it depends on what BA does.
Yeah. Well, how many wins do you need for Brent Allen to re-up his season ticket?
That number is still TBD, Brent. It's still TBD. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and get out here. Ren, any final thoughts? And you know how to close out the show.
Sorry, ice. That was cold. We're going to win the next 2 games, guys. We just are. Tennessee's a mess. I'm actually going to go on a limb and say that Todd Bowles is going to figure something out, and Tannehill's not going to Teddy Bridgewater, Josh Daniels,
Daniel Jones.
Yeah, sorry, I did it again. Daniel Jones, Kyle Allen us.
3. We faced 3 backup quarterbacks this year. Ren and lost to them all. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah. We're getting our 4th.
Yeah.
We're getting our 4th. So, and then for some reason, I just think we match up well against Seattle. Like, their defense isn't what it was. Their offensive line is still, Russell Wilson's still running for his life. And he's going to make some plays with his legs, and they're going to keep him in it. But I just think we win that game. I don't know why. I just think we do. So we're going to win the next 2 games, and everyone's going to be happy. And I think some moves. I hope a move gets made at the trade deadline. This is what I feel like is going to happen. The Bucs are going to trade for somebody, but it's not going to be a cornerback, and everyone's going to lose their crap.
Will you?
No,
okay.
Not if the player can help us.
Okay.
Not if it's like a right tackle that can start for the next 2 or 3 years.
Right.
So, but we shall see. Anyway, brighter days ahead, Bucs fans.
Hey, that's the mantra of Bucs fandom, right? Brighter days are coming. Brighter days are coming.
We are entering the golden age of Buccaneers football.
Yeah. It's a long entry point, by the way. I think we're still lost in the wilderness on that one before hitting the promised land. Ren, tell the folks where they can find you on the internet.
Best place to find me is on Twitter at Rendax, REN_DAXT. I'm always down to talk some Buccaneers football. I
am not on the optimistic path that Ren is about winning the next 2 games. I'm not making a prediction. I'm going back to my I don't make predictions phase. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Here's what I know. I still trust BA. I still believe that he can pull this team around. I still think he can do it. We'll see what happens. Whatever it is, I am along for the ride. And that is my mantra this season. I'm just along for the ride. Hey, listen, guys, we'll be back at you later this week as we ramp back into a regular work week with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We got a game coming up this Sunday against the Tennessee Titans. It is week 6 in a 7-week stretch away from home or something like that. Week 5, I don't know, whatever the number is. We're still in the middle of this god-awful away from Raymond James Stadium home, road stretch. Although I don't know, Raymond James Stadium hasn't always been nice to us either, so who knows what'll happen. If you guys want to get in touch with me, you find me at Brent Allen Live across all the social medias. Follow the show at the Pewtercast on Twitter and here on Facebook. Because we're now broadcasting on Facebook. I don't know if we'll stay on Facebook for the future, Ren, or if we'll go back to YouTube. We got a lot of crap to figure out here over the next week as far as that goes. But we'll figure something out. We'll make it happen because we are still committed to going live, even if it's an hour and a half late on a Sunday afternoon when football games are being played. And
this is a promise.
Until we break it again.
Again.
It's been a hard year, Ren. It's been. Technology has been. People keep changing stuff that don't need to be changed. That's what's happening. Anyway, we'll get out of here. You guys email us to thepewtercast@gmail.com. We will get that on a future episode of the Pewtercast, and those are coming out. So with that, guys, we'll send you out of here, and we'll say, as always, go Bucs.